All the Cleveland Browns fans interested in the game of what if? We all know that Bernie Kosar was one of the top-notch quarterbacks in the 80s. He's beloved here in the Cleveland and Northeast Ohio as one of our best quarterbacks in the history of the Cleveland Browns. But just how good was Bernie Kosar? Put him on this roster in 2024. Could a prime-time Bernie Kosar win a Super Bowl? Well, you know what it is. It's the fantasy machine. Your boy G. Bush is always thinking up something in the lab with a pen and a pad trying to get this label off. We'll tell you whether Bernie Kosar was good enough to win the Super Bowl if he was the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns in 2024. This is going to be a fun show. You don't want to miss it on The Ultimate Browns. Welcome to the fastest 30 minutes in all of sports. It's your boy G. Bush back with another episode of the Ultimate Browns. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And make sure you continue to support our shows all over the UCSS network. Got a great show coming up for you. Player Spotlight, Brian Baldinger. He's always dropping gems. You've seen him with Myles Garrett. You've seen him with DeJuan Jones. Well, I made a comment earlier on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show saying that JOK could at one day win a Defensive Player of the Year. I think he's that talented of a player. And Brian Baldinger didn't say he was going to win a Defensive Player of the Year, but you ain't never going to guess what he says about JOK when we break this down. So we'll take a look at that and his thoughts with Brian Baldinger. PFF agrees with him. They really like JOK as a player. One of the PFF representatives came on Sports for CLE. We'll take a look at that clip. He really has a lot of good stuff to say about JOK. We'll also get into 3 veterans that need to have great camps. These veterans are guys that have been, guys that have been in the league and guys who have had productive campaigns in the past, but a little bit of a down year. We'll talk about 3 guys that need to have great camps and great bounce back years for the Cleveland Browns. But first, you know why you watched this video. You know why you jumped into it. It's the Bernie Kosar situation. Could Bernie possibly, if he was a prime Bernie Kosar, prime 88, 87, 89 type Bernie Kosar, if you put him on this roster, could he win a championship? We'll take a look.
Celebrating the Browns' 75th anniversary, and my favorite moment as a little boy growing up here in Northeastern Ohio, I'm not sure I can narrow it down to really just one of them. The team has been such a special part of not only my life as a boy growing up, but obviously as my career playing. But from my career playing standpoint, again, really kind of feel blessed to have been in so many special games, but things like the playoff games, against the Jets double overtime, being able, as a kid growing up, the Steelers had such a great tradition of Super Bowls and actually beating our Cleveland Browns. So the ability to have beaten our rival Steelers are also massive memories that I'm definitely honored. But one of the main things, though, it was whether it's games or not, it's being in the locker room with the players. That locker room, that environment is something special.
And that was courtesy of the History Channel and the Cleveland Browns. Thank you guys for that. Bernie Kosar is part of the 75th anniversary with the Cleveland Browns from 1946. And he talks about some of the games that he played with the Steelers and all of the great stuff that Bernie's just done. I mean, some of those great games he had with John Elway. And, the teams did not come up. They came up short. And obviously, John Elway was a killer for, the Browns. They just, so many games. And we know the stuff. We regurgitate this history all the time. So, we kind of know what it is and what the Browns were up against. But one of the things I always love talking with Bernie Kosar is the fact that Bernie Kosar was a pro's pro and a genius level savant of the game of football. What Bernie lacked in physical ability, Bernie was able to do with his mind. I have an opportunity, and I like to say I got a pretty good relationship with Bernie. I've talked to him many times, had an opportunity to go out to dinner with him, and we just sat there and we talk about football for hours. He was inducted into the High School Hall of Fame. I had an opportunity to help induct him into the High School Hall of Fame in Canton as one of the MCs of the event. And, if you sit back and you talk with Bernie, he just always has a wealth of knowledge, man. Like, he came on the show and he comes on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show and he breaks down the quarterback game like nobody else can do. And people don't understand. Bernie Kosar was one of the guys that was able to call his own games. And you got to think about, like, it's one of those old school throwback things that people don't get an opportunity to do anymore. But back in that era, when you see a Dan Marino, other guys that used to call their own games, Jim Kelly, the old run and shoot Buffalo, the K-gun with the Buffalo Bills, was calling his own plays. Bernie was one of the guys calling his own plays. And so, when you hear those stories about the way you not only need to know the offensive game plan, you need to know what each and every blocking assignment is. You need to know what routes and option routes you have. You need to choose between whether you running the ball or passing the ball. And you're doing that all within the play clock and running down. It's something I marvel at it every single time we talk about it. So, when you look at it and just take a look at what Bernie did in his career, over 23,000 yards, 124 touchdowns, almost 60% completion percentage, and 81.8 QB rating, and played for the Browns from 85 to about 93. So, in that prime era, the question is to you guys, boys and girls, do you believe that Bernie Kosar could have won a championship if prime Bernie Kosar was on this roster? And I thought long and hard about it, right? So, you guys, when you see this, I hope this video gets a lot of reaction because I want your opinion on it. And we just talking a little ball here, but I want your opinion on it though too. Put it down in the comment section and let me know what you feel about it. Could Bernie Kosar, with this roster, win a championship? And when I sat back and analyzed it and looked at what the Cleveland Browns have, they have a good offensive line, good to great offensive line. They have a nice stable of running backs, right? They got guys that can run routes like Amari Cooper. You got young guys like Jerry Jeudy. And the one of the things that I really see the most is that defense. You got Jim Schwartz. You got that defense. Bernie Kosar is one of the most intelligent individuals to ever be behind center. And so when you say, could you win a championship, most people would try to, detractors would say, well, Bernie wasn't an athlete. Bernie was, more of a statue. He wasn't a guy that was going to be back there. But Bernie did one thing. He was able to understand where the ball needs to go before he throws it. He always understands where he needs to slide in the pocket and get rid of the football. He also has arm angles where, hey, he might not have had the greatest overhand throw, but he always was getting the ball to people. And he prided himself on being able to be accurate and spreading the ball around. So when you talk about, look at what Joe Flacco did and what Joe Flacco was able to do in a very short period of time, coming off the street and lighten the league up a little bit. I think Bernie could have some of that same type of success. He may not necessarily have the cannon and the arm strength that Joe Flacco has, but up here, he's a guy that's one of the smartest individuals to ever be behind center. So what he's going to be able to do is he's going to be able to use some of these weapons. He's going to be able to use the Jerry Judys and the David Njokus and guys like that, because the Browns didn't have the type of offensive line, B, the type of receivers that they had. And the Browns were pretty good defensively, but they were not the Cleveland Browns that they have right now. So if you look at what Bernie would be able to do in 2024, I give them a big edge in terms of what they would be able to do in the passing game. Especially if he's still being able to call some of his plays, working with Stefanski, working with Dorsey. To me, I think Bernie Kosar could lead the Browns to a Super Bowl if he had this roster. I mean, heck, the Browns almost made the Super Bowl and they didn't have this roster, right? Take a look at what they had before and they almost went to the Super Bowl. It'd be difficult. It'd be difficult to say that he could, go out there and play Patrick Mahomes toe-to-toe and win that football game, because that's how great Patrick Mahomes is. But I don't have a shadow of a doubt that Bernie Kosar, given what his ability to think the game, the ability to see things with the game, and ability to make different throws from different platforms, and just the way he's able to get his team in the best position in terms of audibles, understand what the defense is trying to do to him, and just being able to be a general out there. I think Bernie Kosar by far has the ability in 2024 to take the Browns to a Super Bowl if he was a prime Bernie Kosar today. If you disagree, let me know. Because I feel like, I feel like when you take a look at this, like little fun things like this, what ifs, sometimes that we take it too far and people go crazy about it. And sometimes some stuff is far-fetched. And some people are going to say, well, Bernie didn't win the championship when he was playing with that type of team. I just think the Cleveland Browns are in a different position right now where that team is doing their thing. I think this team has some of the best talent it's ever had in the history of the organization. And I think when you look at it, Bernie Kosar could, possibly would be one of those guys to maximize that talent. What do you say? Make sure you hit us up in the comment section. Let us know what you think in terms of your opinion on Bernie and this roster. Coming up next, we're going to get to guys that are on the roster now and get to today, the Cleveland Browns, right? I'm going to give you 3 veterans that got to step it up. 3 veterans that kind of had that, I don't know, your season, I don't want to say you fell off, but you're about 2.5 quarters from saying, you might want to step it up. You might want to hold tight because some of these names might surprise you a little bit. Let's talk about my people at FanDuel. It's playoffs times in the NBA and the NHL. Baseball is in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to get your bet on every single game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 bonus bets and bonus bucks with each win or loss. Bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on the app that is safe, secure, easy to use. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Welcome back to the fastest 30 minutes in all of sports, the Ultimate Brown Show. Thank you guys for making the Ultimate Brown such a great show each and every day. You guys have been checking out, digesting, and taking a look at the content. We really appreciate that. We out here doing major numbers, and it's all because of you and you guys that are so supportive of all the stuff we do. So make sure you continue to like these videos so it gets spread out to everybody else, and continue to make Ultimate Browns and UCSS a part of your everyday listening habits. Let's get to this next topic. I give you 3 veterans that need to have a great camp. 3 veterans that need to have a great camp. And I'm going to start at number 3 and work my way up. And this wasn't trying to be a hot take, but this is the way I came of it. I think Wyatt Teller, when you look at Wyatt Teller and why I say he has to have a great camp is, to me, the Cleveland Browns are winding down. Him and Joe Bitonio have been a fixture in that offense for such a long period of time. They've been both guys who have been probably your best 2 offensive linemen for a number of years now. They're a big part of what the Cleveland Browns wanted to do under Bill Callahan and why Nick Chubb had so much success. But as you guys getting a little bit older, both of those guys are making money, right? And for me, I say it's Teller because I just think, and I don't have any inside information. I just think that when you look at Bitonio and his relationship with the Browns, it seems to be like they view Bitonio as one of their pillars, one of the guys that's going to be a Ring of Fame type guy, a guy that's going to be a big part of the organization in terms of how they view him. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the Browns drafted you. And I talked about this with Deshaun Watson and Baker Mayfield. I've talked about this a lot. People say, well, why doesn't Deshaun Watson get some of the same leeway and some of the space to grow and to make some, make mistakes and to grow into his position like Baker Mayfield did? And I said, well, listen, it's different. When you've drafted #1 overall by that team, you're going to be given certain allowances to make everything. You're going to be given every chance to make plays, every chance to make the squad, every chance to show that you're a player that should be here long term. So you're already going to get a little more leeway out of guys like that. You're always going to get more I guess say more credit, and you're going to get more of the admiration when you are drafted here. And Joe Bitonio is a guy that they drafted here and has played his whole career here. Wyatt Teller, by no means an imagination, the stretch of imagination, is a pillar in the locker room. He's a guy that everyone loves, but Joe Bitonio was not drafted here, right? He's a guy that Dorsey went out and got and turned out to be one of the best moves that they did. And by no means a stretch of imagination. I'm minimizing or trying to marginalize what Wyatt Teller did. I just think that if you're going to come down and pick between two guys, I think the organization kind of leans already towards a Joe Bitonio, right? I think Wyatt Teller had a better year than Joe Bitonio last year. But both of them were a little banged up. So I think when you look at it this year, you already have Zach Zenner. You're paying a lot of money up front to your guards. I think that if Wyatt Teller wants to be here, I think he has to have a Pro Bowl type season. I think he has to really kind of almost outplay Joe Bitonio, because I think most of the people will say, if it comes down between Wyatt Teller and Joe Bitonio and you kind of got to let one of them go, I think most people would say that the Browns organization would lean towards Joe Bitonio. I don't know. Let me know down in the comment section, which one of those guys do you think, if one needed to go, which one would be the last man standing? So I think Wyatt Teller needs to be, play a great year, no injuries, and make sure that he solidifies his position moving forward because of his cap number. Let's get on to number two. The number two guy on the list that I think has to have, a really good camp, and a camp that really solidifies him back into the, good graces, is Jack Conklin, another offensive lineman. Conklin has been injury prone. He got the contract extension, missed all of last year. Talked to Mary Kay Cabot. It may look like he may not be ready to go, specifically during camp. And when you got a guy like DeJuan Jones, who's chomping at the bit, and a guy that, you talk to guys and scouts around the league, feel like that he's going to take another step and possibly be one of the dominant guys for a long time at that position. And the only thing that's kind of holding him back is he was injured last year as well. So, when you take a look at Jack Conklin and you look at what he was able to do and what he's up against, he's playing against a guy who is a younger player, a guy that's a mammoth, large, tremendous upside, and is cheap. So Conklin has to come out and overperform. I think he's behind the eight ball a little bit because of the simple fact that if you look at what Jack Conklin is up against, he's already injured. And if he doesn't start the season ready to go, DeJuan Jones already has that position at lock. I think the Browns will take a guy of his caliber being a backup, because I don't think he's going to be ready to start the season, but that's fine. We looked at what you need to have on your roster. You got to have guys that can step up and make some plays for you, bro. You can't just be out here and hope no one gets injured, right? Jedrick Wills is another guy who is the other tackle who was injured. So when you got all these guys injury prone, I'd much rather have Jack Conklin coming off the bench, subbing in for DeJuan Jones or Jed Wills. And even if he's playing out of pretty much out of, position at left tackle, he's a better option than somebody off the street or what they had ending last year. So I think for him, if he wants to continue to be part of the squad, especially because of his cap number, because I think they can get out of the deal with relatively light money if they decide to move on from him after this year, he's going to have a really good camp. He's going to have to come in and do his thing. And if he wants to continue to earn that type of money at right tackle. Let's get to number one overall. And this guy, he came in and he talked a lot. Juan Thornhill, he talked a lot. He talked about people not believing. He talked about, people need to fall in line with the Browns. They feel like they got a great roster. Now, listen, I'll give him credit for one thing. He did stand on the fact that the Browns did go to the playoffs, and they did. I thought he flashed a little bit. Juan Thornhill did in the preseason. I thought he looked really good in the preseason, but he got nicked up a little bit throughout the season. When he got nicked up, he started giving up certain plays. Took a couple bad angles on some certain things. And, he's at a position where when you got Rodney Hickman and then you got DeAnthony Bell, who I both like, and then you already got Delpit back there. Rodney McLeod is back there. He's only here for another year because he's going to retire after this year. But there's a lot of people back there. right? Ronnie Hickman plays some meaningful snaps for you. DeAnthony Bell played meaningful snaps for you. So when you're a guy that's a free agent that's making a good chunk of change at safety, and you're supposed to come in and bolster and bring some of that stuff you brought from with you from Kansas City, that winning edge, that championship mindset, playmaking ability, playing in tough situations and producing, we need that. Because last year, and I get it, he was a little banged up, but it was kind of little the John Johnson III thing. We was looking for certain plays, didn't get that many plays. You know what I'm saying? Once again, when I did this segment, you know what I'm saying? It ain't all gun. It ain't all about all gumdrops and flowers and all that talk. Like, yeah, we gonna support, but we gotta keep it real. Man, we need a little more from you. You know what I'm saying? I talked about Zadarius Smith in one of my last videos. We need a little more, dog. So I think he's one guy that really has to come in and have him a camp. He need to make it be known that no Ronnie Hickman, no DeAnthony Bell, you're not getting my minutes. Y'all gonna be on special teams. I appreciate y'all, but I'm out here to make plays. So I'm looking for. And you got a code number. And you look like, listen, he looked the part. He got the number 1. He got the visor. Bro, you be looking cold. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie to you, fam. You be looking cold. I'm like, dang, he out there looking crisp. Like he a creative player, bro. I'm mad. He looking cool, bro. We need to match that. We need to get them plays where that cool is, man. You see what I'm saying? So them is the 3 guys I'm looking forward to. I think I'm gonna do a series. I think the next video I'm gonna do, I might actually go back and take a look at, and I'm gonna pick three guys that I think is gonna have a breakout year, and then I'm gonna pick three guys that I say you might get cut if you don't stop playing around with me. You know what I'm saying? Not stop playing. So with that being said, when we get back, we go to our player spotlight with JOK. You know how we go around here. Brian Baldinger is always a friend of the show. I love his breakdowns. You've seen him with DeJuan Jones. You've seen him with guys like Myles Garrett. Now he spot shadows JOK. And I told you on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, I got JOK having another breakout year. And this guy can be potentially a defensive player of the year candidate one day. We'll come back and talk about that. On the flip side, it's G. Bush on the Ultimate Browns. You already know what we give it up here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Channel is growing, channel is hitting, and we got the best baseball on blog, best baseball videos, the best baseball knowledge in the game. Zach Myers will Adam the Bull every single Monday for your Guardians, and you Ultimate Guardians. Them is the ultimate first place Guardians. Put some respect on their name. Big offseason for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Dan Gilbert, GM Kobe Altman. You got to find a coach. You got to see what's going on with Jared Allen. You're going to trade him. You're going to trade, is Donovan Mitchell coming back? Is Darius Garland on the block? We've been hearing some stuff with that. Make sure you keep it locked if you're a Cavs fan. The offseason is the place to be. Jason Lloyd, Mikey McNuggets, right there every single Tuesday with the Ultimate Cavaliers. Don't forget, Behind the Glass thing came back too. The Behind the Glass crew, Anthony, Earl, and McNuggets, they getting the videos popping. Earl just dropped the video every Thursday. Ultimate 216 is a mix of sports and culture. Make sure you check that out. And you already know what it is right here. Monday and Fridays, the big homie, the big dog. The big dogs on the block. Monday and Friday, Ultimate Browns, right here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show Network. Welcome back to fastest 30 minutes in all of sports. We only got one segment to go, but don't keep it locked. Don't act like the third segment is the weakest segment. It might be the strongest segment. Your boy Brian Baldinger broke down some tape from JOK. We have it right here, and this is courtesy of Sports for CLE. And they had PFF. He doing so well, they had to bring PFF in there to say why JOK might be that dude. I told you a strength in number. This is courtesy of Sports for CLE. Check this out.
Former NFL offensive lineman Brian Baldinger took a look at JOK video and listen to what he has to say.
Number 6 for the Cleveland Browns is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, one of the best linebackers in all of football last year. Here, Garrett Wilson of the Jets, 17, is in Wildcat, and he's going to run this little reverse. And the Jets want to double the weak side linebacker, except JOK splits the double team and he makes a tackle for a yard loss. Like speed of recognition. His quickness to the ball was as good as anybody. Now, you watch this here. Slow screen to Breece Hall. He's the man coverage on Breece Hall. The center, Joe Tippmann, has him. But his speed of recognition beats the center, and he never lets the screen get started. He defeats the screen. Speed of decision-making. He led the Browns in tackles a year ago. Yep, get his dance on. You name it. JOK, great season a year ago.
Sam, when you look at it, he was one of the leaders in TFLs for the entire NFL, and the other guys were edge rushers. So that was pretty impressive. Do you kind of see that? And it seemed like midway part of the year, he was struggling a little bit, and they just took off.
Yeah, I mean, he has the athletic gifts, the explosiveness, he's got the traits, the athletic traits that everybody is searching for with modern NFL linebackers. And sometimes they're doing that at the exclusion or at the cost of finding really good football players. And you see these guys drafted at the top of the draft year on year that are better athletes than they are football players or just linebackers. But JOK, I think, is both. You know, he's shown that he's got the recognition skills, that he's got the ability to pair knowledge and instincts and tape study and the mental part of the game with the athleticism and the crazy explosion. But it means that when he gets it right, you get plays like that Baldy highlighted, where he's able to make plays that most linebackers are not. He can get to places that other guys can't, and he's so explosive and violent with the contact that you can't simply assign a couple of guys to him and assume that he's taken care of. He's able to beat those blocks to defeat them and to get into the backfield and make plays. So I think last year was a phenomenal season for him. And, you know, Fred Warner from the 49ers may still be the gold standard when it comes to linebacker play in the NFL. But JOK is one of the few guys that has all of the potential and the tools to put himself at the same level.
And you just heard it. Fred Warner is one of the coldest to do it with the San Francisco 49ers. Shout out to Sports for CLE. Also, Sam Monson. We've had him on our show on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And, you know, they do a great job over there at PFF. And so my thing is this, man, when you hear what they're talking about, and when I tell you JOK has the ability to be a defensive player of the year, don't laugh at your boy G. Bush. Stop playing around. Because I'll be looking. I'm over here looking and seeing, and I'm seeing some of the same things they seeing. You know, like because you know, I got an eye when I'm looking at somebody. I understand when somebody is a playmaker. See, there's a couple of things like JOK is a playmaker, and you saw it right there on tape. You saw what they was breaking down because JOK has the ability to get there with speed. He has ability to get there when he diagnoses it early. It's a problem. I played offensive line before. I know offensive linemen. I didn't dealt with offensive linemen before. One of the things that they always used to say when I was playing is, if you let an offensive lineman touch you, you might as well be dead. You're an athlete. If you play defense, you're supposed to be an athlete. But when you get them long knuckle draggers on you and they hook onto you and they start driving you around and driving you to no. That's not a good look. JOK brings something to the table different. He got the speed and athleticism to just run around the block. The game has changed. Back in the day, you used to get yelled at for doing stuff like that. You used to have to punch, shed, throw people down. They used to say, don't choose a side. You're choosing a side. You got to fit him up, drive him back, and then when the ball declares, you fall off late and make the tackle. Oh, that's old. That's old school way of thinking. You engage with these dudes now, you dead. JOK is running right around them. Why would you engage with somebody? Why would you deliver hands on anybody? You're more athletic than them. On those plays, on those screens, he just outran the center. Just outran him. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, and he's so good in space by giving guys moves and fitting through cracks and crevices. And so when you look at his stats and when you look at what JOK is doing, when you get 101 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 20 tackles for loss, 2 interceptions. And guess what? He's only 24. He only been in the system a year. Understand what that gonna look like when they start really unleashing him. And then he's able to get a couple more sacks. He might end up with 6 sacks. If he got 20 tackles for loss last year, he may come back with 25. Maybe get another pick, 120, 23, 124 tackles. You know what type of season that is? So when I say JOK has the potential to be able to win a Defensive Player of the Year award at that position, besides one of the edge rushers, I'm saying it because it falls into what his down usage is going to be. He's a 3-down player. He's a 3-down player, so he's going to have opportunities to get interceptions because they're throwing the ball. He also has the opportunity to rush a passer because they're rushing the passer on 3rd down. He's also has an opportunity to be in the backfield making plays because, your boy Myles Garrett is out here getting double teamed. So, and plus, obviously, with a good secondary, people are going to hold the ball longer. So, to me, I look at JOK as one of those guys who is going to have a breakout year, and he's the prototype. He's the guy that the teams are going towards now. That is what you're looking for when you're looking for a linebacker, a guy that's around 6'2" and the 225 pounds, 220. That can play all 3 downs, that can run, that can spy quarterbacks like a Lamar Jackson, that can get after guys and just run around linemen. That's what it is. So to hear the people at PFF say, man, he's like up underneath, right under Warner, one of the best backers, that's all you need to know. That's all that needs to be said. And with that being said, we all done over here. I told you time flies when you have a good time, boys and girls. Make sure this was a great episode. If I do say so myself, make sure you comment on this. I'm waiting to see these comments to see what y'all think about these 3 topics. And by the way, always make sure you continue to support the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you get alerted and notified when all of this good content is coming out. With that being said, it's your boy G Bush. You never know where I'm going to be. Yeah, I could be on radio, TV, or the internet. But you see back there, the barbershop is always open. And then when the barbershop is open, all you got to do is listen for the Clippers. I'll be around the corner. It's your boy G Bush. We signing out. And always, have a good evening, have a good weekend, and go Browns.